Thank you. Representative Greg Vitali.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Designee Walker, for coming here today. I wanted to focus my first question on a policy that the governor set out on page A1.14 of his budget. I mean, he said, and I'll quote, he said, the DCED secretary is empowered to expedite any permit or action pending in any agency where the creation of jobs may be impacted. And you sort of expounded upon that in the next to the last page of your remarks, where you said that the governor's action team will help businesses navigate through the governmental process existing with regulatory issues, permitting, workforce development, and you will not be altering any permits or statutes. Those of us in the environmental community who are concerned with the environment are sort of very concerned about what role you may play in the issuance of permits. And we're not just talking about Marcellus drilling permits. We're talking about permits with regard to what a company can emit into the air, what pollutants. We're talking about permits as to what pollutants a company can discharge into the water, permits with regard to crossing streams. There's a multiplicity of permits, both non-Marcellus and Marcellus, and these permits are complicated processes that require public comments in some cases, public hearings, and require getting information from permit applicants, which sometimes is not always the best information on first blush. So I guess my question really is, what do you see your role being with regard to the issuance of permits by the DEP in particular?
Well, certainly I won't be issuing permits. I will not be overruling permit decisions, but I can give you one example already of a company that wants to move to Clearfield County from Oklahoma. And they are planning on hiring 200 welders, and they will pay considerably above the average wage for people in Clearfield County. And Clearfield County has a very high unemployment rate. They got the letter from the air quality people at DEP that said, we're reviewing your permit, we'll give you a decision in 180 days. Well, they wanted to start hiring in March and start hiring, doing training in March. And this letter is dated January 13th from the DEP office to the company. I got involved through an unusual set of circumstances, but I asked for permission of the Secretary of DEP to call the office to see why the permit was being held up and why it couldn't be issued rather than waiting the full 180 days to let them know. So I talked to the company to see what their needs were, what the problem was. Then I called the office of DEP and said, will this permit be issued? And they said yes. I said, well, why are you going to wait the full 180 days? And the person on the phone said, well, I don't have anybody here to type the permit. So that's the type of situation I plan to get involved in, to expedite permits that are being held up for bureaucratic reasons.
Yeah, because my question involves, I mean, shouldn't it be Secretary Kranzer who makes these decisions with regard to the issuance or non-issuance of permits? And obviously in the extreme situation you involved, not having a typist, I mean, we all could agree to that. But I'm more talking about situations where perhaps the company has not filed proper information, its information's lacking. What I'm trying to get at is, shouldn't it be the role of Secretary Kranzer to make sure these permits are happening in a responsible way, balancing the need for jobs with regard to the need to protect the environment? What I'm trying to get at is, what is your role vis-a-vis Secretary Kranzer's in this?
I will certainly abide by any decisions that DEP makes relative to permits. I'm not here to overrule the technical part of it or the technical merits of it. So if they should decide a permit wouldn't be issued, I'm not going to try to have it turned around. I'm merely here as an expediter to make sure permits get their proper attention. Our bureaucracy in Pennsylvania isn't working especially well, and some departments work better than others, but we have to get our employees to understand that business has huge capital commitments waiting out there. and there are a lot hinging on these permit decisions. And we need to educate our people who do the permit review that putting something on the bottom of the pile because they don't like somebody or whatever, or they're having a bad day, isn't an acceptable way of doing business.
And no one could agree with that more than me. But my hope is that the issuance of permits will be based on a fair weighing of the various concerns and various public comments, hearings, the production of required information will have its due course, and Secretary Kranzer's authority will not be undermined with a blind.
Yeah, I don't see that happening because, again, the statutes and regulations in Pennsylvania about public comment period are very clear. I don't ever see even trying to get around that. They're very clear.
Yeah, I mean, the sad reality is that permits have been improperly issued, and if they're not challenged, they go into effect. That's simply the nature of permits, and that's why we're concerned. Okay, let me move on to my second question, and that involves, you know, one of the missions of DCED is to promote business opportunities, and one growing source of business opportunities is in Pennsylvania is the green business. Not only solar and wind, but businesses, you know, with regard to recycling, energy conservation, and so forth. As DCED Secretary, what plans do you have to promote good green businesses in Pennsylvania?
Well, it's my hope that over the next few years we will be able to develop a state energy policy, because the national government hasn't done a very good job at developing a national energy policy. And as far as I'm concerned, there's room for just about every type of energy, and that includes green energy and renewable energy. So I think whatever is out there and can be competitive, we certainly should be looking at it and encourage it.
Okay, thank you.